I never said about how I got the bracelet.
Okay. Okay.
Important too in what was in my heart was I was impressed with the lives of the Mandali in terms of just following Baba's instructions and orders from day to day. I thought, I prayed for that too, and that too was granted. When I was in India, Baba actually would instruct me where to go, what to do, what not to do. I had many, many personal instructions, which was, again, the slightest glimpse. The date was changed a little bit. It was Baba's wish that I come before the 1962 Sahavas. The Sahavas, as you remember, was in November of '62, and I left by boat in October. And Baba had directed me to do a few things before the actual Sahavas. One was I stayed with Baba's brother, Adi Jr., and Franny, his wife, and a niece, Shireen, for 6 days before I got before I continued the journey by boat. And I also was supposed to spend time with Dr. Hoshang Barucha in Navsari prior to the Sahavas, which gave me a wonderful little experience and insight into the true Indian life, which was something else my heart longed for. After all, my own background was that of the child of 2 Russian immigrants. And I did not have experience with Indian people particularly. I loved them, though, right away. It was as if I understood them right away. My parents came here when they were young. They met here and married. My mother was in her teens. She was 16 when she married. My father was 20. And and their background was, my father was actually pretty agnostic. He had a mixture of mostly of Jewish background, but there was a mixture, and there was a lot of intermarriage on his side of the family. And my mother, too, she had, they both were very socially conscious people, and they did not follow the Jewish traditions, which actually was a great advantage as far as I was concerned, because I never could comprehend why the Jews couldn't recognize the King of the Jews, namely Jesus Christ. This was something I really could never quite comprehend ever since I was in my teens. But they appreciated people as individuals. I will say that for them. And that is perhaps, I think, one of the most important lessons that I have learned is that with Baba, is that we never hurt the heart of anyone, because God resides in that heart. And one of the I should say, criteria, as far as I'm concerned, about a person who is capable of being called a real human being is a person who has no biases and prejudices. And that really is what Baba is all about. As far as I'm concerned, to me that has been my way to Baba, to try to overcome any kind of false exclusiveness of any sort, either on the basis of color or race or nation or anything or class. And I feel that is what Baba has been teaching me all along, throwing me into situations where I find that I have to pull out of my unconscious all sorts of horrible little biases that I didn't even know were there. But I will say that I really am very quick to recognize them. This is what Baba is. He makes one very eager to get rid of that kind of what do you say? I mean, weeds that stifle the true growth.
Okay, cut. Okay, we're rolling.
Yes, I just was, of course, we always recall most with great clarity the first time we've met Baba. And for me it was on May the 10th in 1952 in the lagoon cabin. And I had been waiting with Filis for 9 years to meet him. And I still didn't feel prepared, I assure you. But as I indicated, I had a lot of support from Baba's loving disciples. Of course, I came in, Baba was on the couch, and I believe it was Meherji who was there. I don't really remember which disciple. This is often the way people report things, that all you want to see is Baba, and you don't remember the surrounding people. And so it was. I really saw Baba as a sort of perfect perfect expression of the love that I have experienced from my mother and my father at the times when they were capable of expressing such love, which for them was not too often, but for this was the Lord of love I was looking at, love incarnate, who was just beyond belief. I mean, you really do have to just say, is this for real? You know, I mean, there is Baba, and you just, it's hard to equate the fact that you're there finally, and there he is. And he was absolutely also so very beautiful. This was 1952, before the accident. And it puts you in a position of just not, but what Baba does is takes away all shyness and self-consciousness. He absolutely he just wipes away all these things that will in any way block the right kind of relationship. And having done that, I think one of the main messages Baba gave me at that time was, let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. And so, isn't that enough for a whole lifetime? You suppose it won't take me many, many lifetimes to really just experience that? That is my feeling, that Baba gave me everything then. We were Baba's guests during that period of time. Okay, what else do you want me to say? What else do you want? In 1956, Filis, in July, when we first came with Baba to Los Angeles, I never thought I'd return and live here. I hadn't counted on that. But you know, I returned because it was Baba's recommendation that I return. It was in India, and when I was asked to return to America, that Baba gave me the choice of deciding where I would return, and then not being sure whether I should just reside again in New York or go to California. Since you and I had once decided, I recall that maybe I would join you in California if I didn't remain in India. And so now, not remaining in India, and having explained all that to Baba, it rested with him on this January the 17th was when I saw Baba in 1962, when he decided after lunch, he told Margaret to tell me that for the time being I should go to California and be there, and you were there. He also added, but you don't have to stay in California, you know, just see the way it turns out. So he gave me that kind of freedom to move if I didn't care for it. But now we are back here, and I'm so happy to be back in California. I came back in 1963, of course, and then I returned to New York again in '65, then moved to Myrtle Beach, where we had a house in North Myrtle Beach for a few years, and worked there in the Montessori school with Uta. And then after that, I, again in 1977, returned to California for good. I really hope so. I don't think I'll make any more moves unless, and I don't think it will be India where I could move back to, because Baba told me when I left India, Baba said, I want you to return to America to do my work in America. Baba told me that. Whatever it is, I think he alone knows what that is. The thing she did was have us upstairs and do these exercises.
Oh, yes, it was great.
She just shared whatever she had, and at that time she herself needed to get a little physically rehabilitated.
Oh, very much so. After 8 years in India. And then somehow they've all inspired, at least inspired me, to always reach out to people.
Yes, yes.
Not to hug Baba to your chest.
No, no. No, their whole life was dedicated to spreading Baba's message of love and truth. That's why they were sent back. And Norina, she did it in her, I mean, each one is unique.
Well, Margaret did it through her dancing contacts, and some wonderful souls Margaret brought to Baba, and still does. She, at 92, she's still teaching dancing.
She's a very real example of let my message of love and truth be the way to bring Baba before people.
Well, it's like Thomas à Kempis said, we will be known in the future not for the spiritual things we say, but for the spiritual life we live. And that's important to remember.
Yes, I think really this is what Baba did for me, was to show me through saying that I should help take care of Nadine, and then needing to take care of Norina, and always just not dwelling on just acquiring a whole bunch of knowledge, which is, after all, too much of the influence you get in the university. Acquiring a whole lot of knowledge and not really sharing it in a way that benefits other people always, but you know, you just kind of wear it like some decoration. Baba got me out of that very quickly.
Well, don't you remember in '52, you looked hang-dog, and Baba said, "What's the matter?" And you said, "Baba, I disobeyed you." And Baba said, "You didn't finish your thesis." And Baba grinned this wonderful smile and says, "I am your thesis."
Right.
That was
I am
the
your-
end of the MA. Or are you still trying to get it?
Oh, that's a different MA. It's really different. It has nothing to do with just acquiring a whole lot of speculative philosophical knowledge. This has to do with, I've already done this one actually in terms of writing up the work I've done with the elderly. And I just have to write it up.
Do you remember when Baba said, my 4 favorite saints were St.
Yes,
Augustine,
right.
St. Francis,
St. Catherine of Siena,
and St. Teresa.
St. Teresa of Avila. Yeah.
And we had, you especially had studied all 4 of those, but we had studied St. Augustine, the life of Catherine of Siena.
Yeah, that was what I was writing my thesis on, included a lot of Augustine.
Was it?
And then Baba said something which sounds very flattering to you and me.
Well, we have to share it with the audience. Baba said, and Filis reminds me of St. Teresa, and you of St. Catherine of Siena. So,
Yeah, but now, how do you feel about that?
I feel that was Baba pointing to the future as a type.
Yeah.
May hopefully, somewhere in the future, develop to be a type like
The interior life and all of that.
St. Catherine was a great servant,
She was a nurse?
a nurse, and helped sick people and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was only after Baba said that I really tried to read her life a little. I think I had studied mostly, St. Teresa had written more, you know, about the interior castle and levels of consciousness. Yes, and then of course Baba told us during those little sessions, some of those sessions were so priceless, they should have been taped.
Well, they didn't have tape, thank goodness, in a way, in 1952.
The House of the Eastern Women, that was
Right.
where
But
these...
Charmian took some lovely pictures. She took some
Oh,
very
yeah.
charming pictures.
Yes.
Yeah. Not movies, but pictures.
All right, now you just listen, Phyllis.
Go ahead
And
and
you
talk.
can respond as naturally.
Well, certainly one of those intact memories that you don't forget was when we were invited, along with a number of the people who were on the center at that time. And in '52, they were only invited guests, right?
That's right. You and
Yeah.
I were the only ones on the scene.
Yeah. Well, but there were the Eastern women, of course, Mani and Mehera, and
I mean, the Western.
yes, Meru. Rana was away at that time, and who else? Mani, Mehera, Meru, and
Yes, on
Yeah.
the scenic route here in Filis Frederick, yeah. So we found that out. Found out what
You want to get any? Either one of you just start talking.
Yeah,
Adele,
first.
you see? You can see where we live down there. Can you see?
Where?
Over there. That's where Hermosa Beach is. And that's where Baba sent me. In 1960, I moved here at Baba's whim.
Yeah.
Because in 1956, he said, Filis.
Right.
And he pointed south. That was when we were standing on Coit Tower. And I didn't know what he meant. But finally, in 1960, I got this wonderful offer I couldn't refuse from Mattel Toys. And I moved into Manhattan Beach. It's right there where the pier is. And,
How well I remember in New York when you were deliberating on, you know, wondering, should I go to this offer, this fabulous offer? And then I thought, well, I said to you, if you remember it or not, but I remember, I will come if I don't remain in India.
and then Baba told you to join me.
And then I asked Baba, he
Yeah.
said, would you like to, when you go back, what are you going to do? He professed such total innocence, you know. I said, anything you want, Bob. I could go to stay with Filis, be near her, or go back to New York. Baba said, I'll tell you after you have some food with the mandalay, with the ladies. When I returned after the luncheon, Baba said, well, no, it was Mehera who said, Baba said to tell you that you will first go to California, listen for, you know, little things in between, settle your affairs in New York. then go to California and work with Filis, something. I don't remember the precise words, but it definitely, you know.
He said, go home, and you said, I don't have a home.
Oh.
And then he said, go join Filis and help her work. That's what he said. Yeah.
And after...
so there we are.
There we are.
In 1984. Oh, we shouldn't date it, maybe, but that's what it is.
Before 1985. What is
almost before 85.
Almost.
December 30th.
Tuesday, yes, will be the 1st of January.
Well, it's been a beautiful 24 years, 25 years here in Baba's territory. And you know, Baba drove along this road right here in the 30s. Yes, he took this road.